All right, well, Bitcoin is still in the same range that we have been in since the 27th of August. Not too much has changed here. Things are moving pretty slowly, but at some point we are going to see things pick up. I think that's inevitable at this point. And things on Market Cipher across various time frames are conflicting. Some time frames are pointing one direction, while other time frames are pointing the opposite direction. And that's to be expected. We've been ranging for a very long time here. Bitcoin is ranging within larger ranges, within even larger ranges if you keep zooming out. And specifically, I think these ranges that we're in right now are decision points. These are decision ranges. Firstly, this smaller range is occurring right below the value area low. I've gone over why I think this is a very important level because we just, deviated the low of the macro range since all time high, and reclaiming value area low following that opens the door to more upside. We already did it once. We got a little bit of a bullish move here, but we were not able to sustain above it. We fell back down below it and are now finding resistance on it within this local range. And so I think, not only is this miniature range a decision range to, decide are we going to try and break back above the value area low, or are we going to lose this range and then see if we can maybe find support around the low of this larger range. But this larger range is also very important. I think this is a decision range as well. If we start losing the low of this range, then that, in my mind, opens the door to a move back down towards this low. But if we can not only get above the value area low, but then also break above this range significantly, ideally also getting above the point of control, that can open the door to a full-on rotation in this range. And as I said, it's kind of hard to try and predict what is going to happen here because there's a lot of conflicting signs. But at this point, I do have to lean more bearish given the fact that we are finding resistance on the value area low following this bearish development of losing it after trying to reclaim it. I think that is a big thing that makes me lean towards the bear side, or at least prioritize the bearish signs over the bullish signs right now, because any bullishness that I see doesn't really matter until we can reclaim the value area low once again. And even then, we have more decision points above us that we have to get past before that bullishness can, really lead into anything super significant, like possibly coming back up towards all-time high. And another thing that makes me lean more bearish at the moment to go along with the price action is the fact that the weekly time frame, all three of the oscillations are pointing to the downside. Money flow is moving to the downside, the VWAP is moving to the downside, and so is momentum. Given the fact that the weekly is agreeing with what I see in price action at the moment, which is us struggling to, get back above the value area low, that does make me lean a little bit more bearish. At least it makes me prioritize the bearish signs and the bearish setups at the moment over the bullish ones. And that does not mean I'm not looking for longs. I've taken longs. I took a long, I think, 2 days ago. Yeah, I opened this on the 1st. So I am looking for long trades, but in terms of like the higher time frame stuff, I'm still leaning more bearish until we can get back above this area. But, looking at the daily time frame, I've said this for a while, I can't help but see the potential bullishness in this daily time frame. First off, the overall direction of the money flow is pointing to the upside. We had a long downtrend in the money flow. It got into the red. It kind of stayed around here, almost putting in equal lows. We even put in like a lower low right here. But then that money flow started to curve back to the upside. It has crossed into the green. So, there is a chance that this overall direction in money flow continues, given the fact that, we're now seeing the most bullish money flow that we've seen since we really fell into the red. And, there's no guarantee that this direction is going to continue. It could fail. We could see this money flow cross back into the red, and, it could just be a failed overall curvature of the money flow. But right now, momentum is backing up the bullishness. We do see direction with the momentum. We're even trying to make another higher low right here, a very slight one, but the VWAP is pointing to the upside. The momentum wave is starting to clip off. The white part is closing in on itself, which means that we're approaching the point where we could print a green dot. Maybe we end up double bottoming. Maybe it's a slight lower low. But overall, we're still seeing direction from this anchor wave to this overall trigger wave, and now potentially to another trigger wave. And money flow is also starting to turn back to the upside as well. And the midterm time frames are, again, just a mess of contradictions. Money flow on the 4-hour putting in lower lows still. Even though we got some bullish signs on this low, there were divergences here. And that was as we took out the low of this local range. But right now, momentum is turning back to the downside. We have a red dot here. Pretty much same thing on the 3 hour. Now, the 2 hour, I pointed this out. We did have money flow divergences on the 2 hour. That was looking a little better, but money flow has gotten into the green and just crossed back into the red, so that is not a very bullish sign. However, this is as we are approaching the low of the range again. We just got, a pretty aggressive dump here. Maybe we're trying to come back down and take out this low once more with some better looking divergences. At this point, we definitely have divergence potential. Momentum could make a very nice trigger wave here. We could see an overall higher low with money flow. And we definitely have divergence potential on this 1 hour as well. We're seeing, kind of an overall direction with the money flow. Even though it struggled to get into the green here, it's still put in a higher low and has crossed back into the green yet again. And still, we're seeing a struggle once it gets up here. But possibly, it has to come back down for one more move in the red, put in yet another higher low. Momentum puts in another higher low. And, we can think that possibly that's when we'll see the money flow start to take off to the upside. Maybe that's when we see another move up towards this local range high. Like potentially we see divergences here just to get a move back up to this key area. And that's really, the update when it comes to Market Cipher and, how I'm viewing this price action overall. Price still has a lot of decisions to make. And for those, I'm watching the ranges. I'm watching how Market Cipher develops in the ranges. And, I don't have to know what's going to go on. I don't need to know whether we're going to break to the upside or break to the downside out of any of these ranges. I just, really have to come up with plans to try and trade them. That's my goal at the moment. And my plans have not changed. I'm still looking to trade the ends of this range. I'm looking for a long at this low, a short at this high. If confirmations are presented, I'm watching the low of the higher time frame range, which has confluence below it. And I did take a long right over here as we came very close to that low on Bybit. And it wasn't until afterwards that I noticed that we actually took out that low on Binance. So technically, if you were trading on Binance, this first trade idea already got triggered. And there were divergences there. There were confirmations on this SFP. Pretty decent looking ones on this 1 hour. Money flow actually kind of double bottoms, so that wasn't great. But the momentum divergence was very clear. And I think there were other divergences on some lower time frames. On the 30-minute, there was a money flow div. So there were nice confirmations there. I actually traded this without even knowing that we SFP'd the low because, I saw confirmations on the lower time frames in this little area here, which was divergences as we SFP'd this local low right here. There was 15-minute divergences with money flow and momentum. On the 5-minute, you saw the direction with momentum very clearly. Money flow, this was technically a div too because from this point to this point, price put in a lower low, money flow put in a higher low. It's not exactly a divergence from this point because money flow continued lower after that, but still it's a form of a money flow div. And on the 3-minute, it was looking good as well. Direction to the upside with momentum. Money flow was turning to the upside as we got that SFP. And I didn't actually enter until we got like a move to the upside and then got a retest. I think I entered either here or over here. I don't remember which one. But yeah, I basically just took a little scalp entry after seeing those bullish confirmations on this low. Because we kept putting in higher lows right here, I had my stop loss down below pretty much these higher lows. Like if this liquidity started to get swept out, I was thinking we'd probably come back down to this low anyway. So I went with a more local stop. And that made it possible to de-risk at a much more local target. I think I took profits either around this high or slightly above it. I don't remember where my limit was. It might have been hit over here. And then I just kind of let the rest run and picked off profits as we went. Like I took profits around this high and then somewhere around this high as well. I didn't close the whole trade there. I got stopped out somewhere around here. I put my stop loss in the profit. And overall, I netted about 3% with a 1% risk on that. So it could have been a lot better, but, I de-risked it quickly. I wasn't really expecting to see a move all the way up here. But once I saw that we actually did take out this low on Binance, I started thinking we may see, more of a pump from this. So I held the rest of my trade and I took a profit up around this high. So that was not bad. Now, I am still looking for a move at this low. I think, for this trade idea, it would be better if we not only take out this low on Bybit, but we also take out whatever the low is on Binance. So we would need to take out this wick low. It's still the range low. We're still SFPing the low. We haven't broken the range bearishly, so I would still look for a trade from the range low. Of course, if confirmations are presented down there, there is a good chance that one of these times when we test the low, it's not going to be an SFP and we won't get a bounce from it. Maybe it is an SFP, but then it's only like a temporary bounce before we break the range to the downside. It just seems like we're really continuing to push down towards this low, and at some point it has to give, or at some point one of these SFPs have to break the range bullishly. At some point the range is going to break. We're not just going to continue SFPing it forever, so I am being cautious with that. And I'm only going to take a trade if there's confirmations and if it makes sense based on local targets. Like, I'm not expecting a move all the way back up to here or here from any of these trades. I would be, taking profits somewhere locally. And these other two ideas have not changed. They're still the exact same. But, another thing that I may do is I may look for some more local trades because, at the moment I am prioritizing shorts given where we are ranging and some of the higher time frame signs, even if they are conflicting, like on the daily. I am, at this point prioritizing shorts, and, all of these SFPs of the low have not been able to like give a full-on rotation. Only, really on this last one on Binance did we get a move up to the value area high. Even like before we SFP'd this low, barely got a move up, didn't even hit this value area high, which it might have been different at the time, but, we're not getting like super aggressive pumps from these SFPs. So that is another thing that's making me lean more bearish, and because of that, maybe we don't ever get a move back up to this high. Maybe this short idea never happens. Maybe the best opportunity is going to come more locally. And one thing that I see is that these anchored VWAPs are approaching this high right here, and that high did SFP the value area high. So maybe another idea would be SFPing this high, getting a move into these anchored VWAPs, and then losing the value area high once again. I think that is a more local idea that, if the confirmations are there, is something I would certainly consider. And I think it is a, valid enough idea to have a position there and to try and plan something. Now I'm going to move this stuff over so I have a bit more room. And to not get confused with all the lines on my chart, I'm going to make sure that I know which are the actual high and low of the range. I'm going to change those to a green color. And another much more short-term idea that I am actually looking at right now, if we start retracing before coming down to this low, I may look for a local short to hopefully continue this bearishness that we're seeing. I would really only consider this in the short term. I think if we take too long down here, like if we range, see some bullish signs, get back above value area low, we could see a rotation back up to value area high. But, if we start retracing now, I think we may, continue down towards this low, especially since we never took it on Bybit. And this is a scalp trade. I would take less risk, and I need to see confirmations here. But, for the moment, at least in the short term, I will have an idea planned out here as well. And hopefully I can use more of a local stop loss. I don't really want to put it above this high. It depends on where I enter, but, I need risk reward to make sense as well. And, yeah, truthfully, I think this one is the most risky one. I wouldn't take it unless there's very clear confirmations there and you have a very clear setup. Otherwise, we may just blast through this to get up to this idea up here. But that is basically it for my plans at the moment. I'm not really looking at anything else. There is a chance if some kind of bullish confirmations are presented here and then we get back above value area low, I may look for a long up to this idea, and then if that fails, then I will obviously look for higher targets. But there's nothing I can really plan out here at the moment. And that just about does it for the video. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, subscribing, leaving a comment, all that YouTube stuff. That helps to support the channel, and I appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.